Welcome everybody to our new little segment here on the channel. This one's going to be a little bit about our trip, our long distance trip around the Atlantic to the Caribbean and all that. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the stuff that you can think about when going sailing yourself, or if you're just dreaming a little bit about it, or if you just want to basically know what it could be about a little bit more in detail than we have talked about before, I guess. So today we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts about when preparing and going on a long distance sailing trip.
So if you're planning to go on a long distance sailing trip, I would highly recommend you to jump on board someone else's boat first. Like, go with them for a couple of weeks so you get a bit of a feeling what it's like and what kind of boat you would like, and just small things that you might have not thought about earlier.
When it comes to buying a boat, I think that a lot of people nowadays look at sailing channels and stuff like that, and they see they have these big catamarans or monohulls, and it seems like it's going towards bigger and bigger and bigger boats. But we have found that according to us at least, you don't really need the big size and the big kind of space and all that of a bigger boat, because there are a lot of upsides to having a bigger boat, but there's also a lot of downsides. Like, it's definitely more expensive. Like, when you're out sailing, the harbor fees are definitely more expensive. If something breaks, it's more expensive, and the overall maintenance is just way more expensive. So let's compare, for let's say 45 feet boat compared to our boat, which is 31 feet. I think the cost for the 45 feet is more or less the double, and I guess you're not really getting double the comfortability with the 45.
Depending on what you're looking for, of course.
Of course, if you have a big family, then of course a 31 feet boat might be.
If you want to go cheap, the smaller, the cheaper. Mostly, if it not breaks all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So let's say you have bought your boat, you found out what kind of boat you want, all different kinds of stuff like that. It's in your budget and all that, and now you're gonna prepare it to go sailing. So first of all, just think about safety stuff, basically. So you want all the comfortability stuff as well, of course, but safety stuff, we figured that AIS is super important to have nowadays. All the big ships have AIS, most small boats have AIS as well, so be able to be seen on the ocean from all the big ships, and don't have to worry about that. The AIS is super good to have. Otherwise, life raft, of course, very, very good to have. We have not used ours yet, and we're very thankful for that, of course. EPIRB for that as well. So if you're in a bad situation, your boat is kind of sinking and you want to jump in the life raft, you got to bring the EPIRB and you're good to go. Otherwise, just life vests all the time. Keep a life vest. We brought a life vest with an AIS sender transponder, like a tiny one that was attached to the life vest. So if someone would be out in the middle of the night all by themselves and fall into the water, we still had the possibility to find that person and retrieve them. But of course, the main rule is just to not fall in the water, basically.
I would recommend to go out on open sea before you start your trip. See how you respond to the waves, and if you're very seasick, find out what works for you first, because otherwise it's quite hard after a while. I would have preferred if we had talked more about like difficult situations before. So what would we do if something would happen? Because during the time I realized I didn't know what I was supposed to do if someone would fall overboard, because we had never talked about it, and since I wasn't very into sailing before we started, I didn't really think about that or know about that. If you're gonna have like a captain and a first mate or something like that, what are the tasks of the captain or the first mate? during what times are you captain and first mate, and what times are you a couple? Because that kind of changes the perspective of things.
Yeah, just basically have a good structure on board, like a ground structure. Like this is how it's supposed to be, a ground structure, and then you can just adapt after that, I guess. And for seasickness, the thing that we found work definitely best is the plasters that you put behind your ear. Yeah, that is by far the best, I think. I'd never been seasick, so I haven't tried it, but at least for you and for other crew members as well that we brought, that's been a lifesaver for sure.
They're super good and they last for 3 days, and after 3 days on sea you're mostly, or a lot, at least me, I'm not seasick. So then I don't need to put a new one on, because the body has adapted to the movement.
And talking about crew, we have brought, I think it's been 16 people during this 17 months of sailing to the Caribbean and back to Sweden. And I think it's been very good to bring crew. There's when you speak to long distance sailors, generally, there's a little bit of negativity when it comes to bringing crew. There's a lot of people who's like, no, I would never bring crew on a crossing. There's too much risk to bring people who might not adapt, who are just not doing their work and just being a pain in the ass. And we haven't discovered that at all, basically, according to me. We had maybe a little bit of difficulties with a few of the crew, but nothing big. I don't know if you agree, but that's at least what I have, what my experience is basically from it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay, because it's been so fun to get to know all of these crew members that we bring. Like, for example, when the second Atlantic crossing, when Linn wasn't on board the boat, I was all alone in Puerto Rico, and there came Remy and John, whom I never met before. I just spoke to them on the internet, and it was just a big chance, basically. I was just like, okay, I'll just take this chance and see what happens. No, she's laughing at me because of my English, but that's okay.
No, it's not.
So I was like, I need crew. I don't want to go solo. I thought about going solo, and then I just brought these guys, and they had basically no sailing experience at all from before, and that was super good, because then I could just bring them on the boat and just tell them exactly what was going on with our boat, and then they could just adapt to that. Then they didn't have a lot of experience before and a lot of thoughts when it comes to sailing, so then they could just be open-minded and just take in whatever I told them. And of course what I tell them is not the perfect way of doing it, but I guess it's
Gustav's way of doing it, so you're not getting upset if they do it.
I would say it's possibly the best way to do it with our boat, not with anyone else's boat, but possibly with our boat.
Okay.
So, and that's the boat we sail, so I guess that makes sense. Let it be. Where are you going?
I want tea. I want tea.
One more thing about the boat and just keeping it easy on the boat. It's been very important for us to just keep it simple, basically. We have a regular water toilet with a pump, so there's no electricity there. And we also found that generally the things that breaks on a boat is usually related to electricity. So electricity and boats and water, it's, as you all know, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing to just bring a lot of electricity on a boat where there might be salt coming in and whatnot. So the best advice that we could give is that just trying to keep it as simple as possible. Try to keep as few electric devices as possible on the boat, and especially like don't have an electric toilet, for example, and electric pumps to the galley, because I mean, you just have to have a foot pump or a hand pump for the toilet, and it's super easy. It works all the time. It basically never breaks, and you don't have to worry about it. If you run out of electricity, then you can't go to the toilet, and you can't get any water from the galley to do the dishes or whatever. So, but if you have manual stuff, then everything just works. Don't listen too much to what other sailors say, because there's a lot of good knowledge to get from other sailors, definitely. But when it comes to where you can anchor or where you can sail or whatnot, there's a lot of rumors as well, and a lot of old information about stuff. So we found that there's a lot of just people talking mouth to mouth, and then the rumors are just getting spread around, and suddenly everyone is talking badly about one anchor spot, and then no one's going there for some reason, and it's because one sailor got robbed 10 years ago, and that could just be super bad for you because you missed this amazing anchor spot just because you listened to what another sailor said. So just if of course you're gonna listen to other sailors, but trying to just take it with a pinch of salt and trying to look into it more deeply yourself, so you get a better knowledge, basically.
I would advise you to bring a lot of games on board, because there's a lot of boring times, so then you need games. Books is also a very good thing. Pods. You know, the things you listen to. It's good to bring a fan.
That is actually a very good advice. Bring a lot of fans.
For heat and for cold.
Yeah, because fans are also very, very expensive in the Caribbean, and it's hard to get hold of usually. So you usually can just get the fans that works good for both. Usually get them in both stores, and they're super expensive. So,
and if you have real fans, you should bring them too.
And there might be a few of you who wondering what happened to our boat. So since we're now living in the north of Sweden in this little house, our boat is back in the west coast in Lysekil. So it's on land at the moment, Divina Remy, and we're thinking about selling it. So it's it's a little bit uncertain right now what's gonna happen for the summer, but we're gonna move back to Lysekil in a few weeks and take care of the boat and all that stuff, and maybe sell it, maybe not. We'll see what happens. We haven't really decided everything yet, so we're basically gonna go with the flow and do a few more of these videos, and then we'll see what happens. I want to sign them off with a subscribe and like, and just subscribe right here somewhere, and give a like, watch another video, maybe Patreon right here. Alltså nej! Alltså vi får sitta